Why don't you introduce yourselves?
Hi, my name is Gaga. I'm from Saudi Arabia, and I'm a freshman here, study criminology.
Wait, and so your name is Gaga?
It's not my actual name. I just changed it here because people can't pronounce my real name.
What's your Arabic name?
Ragad.
What is it?
Ragad. It has the
It has that.
yeah.
So Gaga.
I go by Gaga. And not because I like Lady Gaga, just different.
Yeah. All right, that's cool. Yo.
Hi, I'm Jackie. This is my senior year, and my major is economics, and I'm from China.
Okay. So we're going to talk about a topic that I can't imagine could be any more timely than speech and speech codes and free speech. Just speech and speech codes. And as we talk, so the two of you are going to be up here first. I want to ask you some questions because you're both international students. Then I'm going to have you move over here, and then I'm going to talk to two other students while you're up here, okay? And as we're talking, and this is for everybody, I want to remember, especially for you two, this is a sociology class. It's not a political science class. It's not a law class. We're not talking about the legality of free speech and so on. We're talking about the sociology of it. In other words, the practice of free speech or speech codes and how they play themselves out in our day-to-day lives. So, and how they impact our behavior, most importantly. And because that's the most interesting thing for sociologists is behavior. It's not like you can have all sorts of thoughts and ideas, but like, what do you do? And how do those thoughts and ideas translate into your actions? So, and in here, I suppose just on another point, this is kind of a timely topic because, in Social 19, we're talking about, this is really kind of a cauldron of controversial issues. And, every day we're addressing issues where we have to, this is that line, we have to walk up against the line and we have to decide, are we going to cross over it or not cross over it? And it's very complicated. Hey, by the way, put your laptops away. Laptops. Got it? Cool. So, first question for the two of you. Why do you think we have protections on speech here in the U.S.? Just that. Like, what do you like when you think about? There's no right answer to this. Okay, so I'm not asking you the right answer. I'm not asking you to go into the legal doctrine and legal codes and figure it out. Just like you, as people who are born in another place, you came here to study. Like, when you think about, first off, is this talked about back home, the U.S. and freedom of speech and stuff? Is that something that is a point of conversation?
Like, we've heard that, like, the freedom of speech, like, this is, like, the first thing, like, about, like, the U.S.
About the U.S.?
Like, the freedom of speech. Like, you can say whatever you want. And, like, I don't feel like lately people can actually do that. I feel like they're scared. Like, for example, I can't say anything on my mind that might jeopardize like my like scholarship or like my status here in the U.S. So,
okay, but one of the first things you learn about when you think about the U.S. is freedom of speech, freedom to say what you think, different speech codes than in other countries. Yeah, Jackie, how about you? The question is back home, and by the way, by speech codes, what I mean is just the scaffolding. Like, free speech isn't just, hey, it's not that you can say whatever you want, because there are lots of things you never could say here.
Yeah,
right?
like your opinions. And,
yeah, but right. So speech codes is just like the ways in which the codes we use. Some are laid out clearly, and some are not so clearly about what you can and can't say or should and should not say. So I'm going to give you an example here, and then I'm going to come to you, right? In another language, in the U.S., we have this term. We used to say colored people for black people, okay? And then at some point in time, we just stopped using that. In the kind of 70s and definitely in the 80s, it became people of color, and that just became the better one, because colored people was associated with Jim Crow in the time when there was a lot of segregation against black Americans. And so it became seen as sort of like as a negative term, even though it wasn't in per se, right? It was just a common used term. So people learned over time to say colored people. But if you speak another language, I can ask the two of you, what's the difference, just in terms of, forget about what I just said, the difference between colored people and people of color?
There's no difference.
There's no difference, right?
Like in my language?
Yeah, going from Arabic to English.
There's no difference.
There's no difference, right?
Oh.
So what I hear a lot in this class is international students, people for whom English is not their first language, will often use colored people. And then you'll hear a certain kind of bristling in the class because Americans have learned that, yeah, you don't say colored people. But the two of you can say colored people because it's like there's no difference, right? But this is a code. It's a code that you haven't learned. You haven't learned it because it's not part of, it's awkward. People of color, it doesn't make sense if you're trying to learn English. People of color, what the hell does that mean? So I hear lots of international students in this classroom will still say colored people. And like, yeah, okay, it makes a lot of sense. Okay, that's a code. All right, bro, so the question is, back when you think about yourself growing up, you think about free speech in the United States, what do you think?
So you can criticize the government, criticize what they do, but you can't say like, I hate you, so I want to kill you tomorrow. That's something you cannot say.
You can't say. What can you say, though? What did you hear about free speech in the US?
So, for example, I think Donald Trump, the President Trump, is not a good president. That's what you can say.
Is what?
I don't think President Trump is a good president.
Okay, so you can say that here. And everyone, and nobody's going to say it, like, you're not going to be in trouble. No one's going to come through that door over there.
Can we say that?
You can say that. Yeah, you can say, anybody can say that. So you're saying, yeah, that's a thing that you could say here, and you're not going to get in trouble for it at all. Well, you might have Trump supporters who would be like, what are you saying that for, or whatever, but okay. In China, how often do people talk about free speech in the United States? Did you ever hear people talking about it, like as like a thing that's valued?
People might imply it, but you don't talk about it in.
Yeah, it's not a thing.
Maybe my account will be banned.
Oh, I got you. Okay, like in social media, you wouldn't do it, but you might with your friends or something.
In private, in the restaurant, we can talk.
Yeah, you might talk about that. Okay, I got it. So, but for both of you, but around the world, for both of you, the U.S. is associated with like free speech, and the United States are things that go together. If you really see that. Hey, so now I want to talk in very practical terms. Okay, just practical. How often do you think, does it cross your mind to think, hey, I'm in the U.S. now. It's actually, things have changed in the past year. Okay, you said it. Like, hey, I got a visa here, and people with visas are getting into trouble by speaking their minds. And yeah, this is a whole new world here. Right? It was not true for. Do you have siblings who studied in the U.S.?
Yeah, I have like 4 siblings that studies in Pittsburgh and Texas.
Before you, they're older than you?
No, they're like here now.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So it's a little bit different now. But how often do you think about it?
Like think about like,
The fact that you're here and like, oh, we have free speech here, and wait, can I say? Can I not say? Can I?
yeah, sometimes like in classes and sometimes like in social media, I don't really engage a lot lately since everything on social media is like now like controlled by like the government, and like it's just like it's scary out there for
Wait.
international students too.
Okay, not controlled by you mean here in the U.S.?
I mean, yes, here in the
Not
US.
controlled, but
Not controlled, like they can like see it.
they can see it. Okay.
Yeah, and they can like deport you for that. And there's like stories that happened earlier this year about like even like Saudi students,
Uh-huh.
and it was really sad.
Who got in trouble
Who got deported?
for being but I think most of them wasn't just saying something, but actually being involved in activities.
Like 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 going out and protest about like stuff.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Uh-huh.
Please.
Huh. Do you have a similar thing? You've been here 4 years. Have you changed the way you think about what you say in the past 4 years?
So I usually don't talk about political stuff. So
So it doesn't really matter. So back 4 years ago when you first came, you weren't really talking about anything anyway.
sometimes I went to Reddit and watch people criticizing Chinese.
Mm-hmm. So,
But I'm not quite interested in U.S. Politics,
so you're here to study. What's your major again?
economics.
You're here to study economics. That's your primary concern.
Yeah.
Oh, the other stuff doesn't really matter that much. Mm-hmm. And same for you. What do you study?
I study criminology.
Criminology.
Yeah.
So that's your primary goal. You don't look
Sure.
like someone who's going to be out protesting on the streets.
No, I can't.
Yeah. But the concern is that, hey, wait, we've made a shift here. There seems to be some kind of shift in the United States. And I need to be really careful.
Like I couldn't go last summer. Like this is my second semester here, and I couldn't go last summer for like Saudi because I saw like people in the airport, like they can go like through your like phone and stuff, and like a German like girl got like they did not let her enter
Mhm.
the U.S. and I couldn't do that, so I couldn't go to Saudi.
So you didn't want, even though you probably don't, you
I don't really
you don't
have
have
anything, but like, what if? Like,
You were
yeah,
afraid.
I can't risk it.
Uh-huh. You were afraid you could have that one thing that somebody sent to you, and it's on your phone, like on WhatsApp or something, some photo, it's on your phone, and they find it, and they're like, what's this doing on the phone? And you didn't clean your phone, and like, there you go.
The thing is, like, I really like respect everything. I really don't like have like strong opinions on stuff, but like sometimes, like you know, yeah, look, what if I have something? What if I reposted something, or
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, or no, again,
I
if I send you something on WhatsApp, and it shows up on your phone, it's on your phone, it could depending on your settings, it could easily go into
yeah.
your photos, and there it is. Same with you, right? It could be anything. Just and you're like, I didn't even look at that. But there it is. Okay, so the point being, there are stories out there, and each one of those stories, like the German one, there's a German couple down in they went over to Mexico and came back over.
I think, yeah.
They got taken into custody. And then in the end, they got sent back to Germany. But I think they were in custody for a week or two or something. So you, as international students, you see those stories, and you're like, you don't know like the very specific parts of those stories, but that's kind of frightening.
Yeah, but like this is like I don't really know what happened, but like
Yeah.
this is what like the media shows us.
But you don't need to know what happened. All you know is they got detained. They went through their phones. They said, "You're not coming in." You don't need to know the specifics. The point is they got detained for 1 or 2 weeks or whatever it is. And then but you're a student, and you're saying, I don't want to go back home and not be able to come back. I haven't done anything.
Yeah, it was different from tourist visa. Like my mom and my sister came earlier this year, and my brother, and they faced no trouble. But like students visa, or like especially lately, things are like really, really scary.
Okay, so let me ask the two of you a question. Are we good here? You're good? All right. What do you think? I mean, there are a lot of people are divided here in the United States. There's some people who guaranteed are going to hear what you're saying and be like, well, that's how it should be because you're a guest in our country. And even though what we're saying here is it could just be a simple photo on the phone that shows, I don't know, like the President of the United States in a dunce cap, right? You know what a dunce cap is? It shows the President of the United States in a clown costume.
I know that.
Okay, got it. It could be that, just that. So we're not talking Death to America videos of, burning flags. We're talking just something like that. And so there are people who say, well, but you shouldn't have that on your phone at all. So if you do, then we send you back home. Can you respond to that? Just the two of you? How would you respond to that? Because what I'm seeing are these two international students who are here you're trying to study. You're not hating anything or anybody. But you got these phones, they're very complicated. Things come in the phones, you don't know. And like you could get in the middle of something.
I think it makes no sense.
It makes no sense. What do you mean it makes no sense? Like say more, because I feel like it makes no sense. But if I'm in your shoes, the two of you, I'm feeling like, look, I have so many international students, and I have for so many years, and it just feels kind of sad.
My mind, for example, you mentioned the Trump in
Clown costume.
the custom. But if the custom officer just for one photo in my phone, it's explainable.
Yeah. Wait, say that again. If he just sees one photo on the phone, it would be explainable, probably. Yeah. You have the idea that it would be. Yeah.
I think it's fine.
So you have the idea that, well, that probably wouldn't get you into trouble. It's probably going to be a whole bunch of things.
No, I don't think I would get in trouble for one photo.
For one photo. Okay. All right. Yep. I have the feeling that you probably wouldn't either. Yeah, on one photo. I think not. But you're skeptical. You're still saying
Have you seen this stuff on the media? Just like I know Saudi got my back, but I'm not gonna waste like all the work for just like, I'm not gonna for something that I really got misunderstood or something.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. So the point is you're afraid. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I know a lot of people are. Do you, let me ask you this question. Do you have the idea with kind of free speech and stuff, a lot of people feel like that Americans are really are too sensitive. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Do I feel like Americans are sensitive?
Yeah.
It depends on the subject, but yeah, perchance.
But like back home, like you wouldn't say anything on social media against the royal family. You wouldn't do that.
No.
Yeah. So for you, not saying something against the U.S. government is easy because you don't say anything against your own government.
Yeah.
So for you, it's like, okay, whatever.
But the difference is if something bad happened to me in Saudi and I really needed to talk about it, I can't go outside and protest. I just can't contact people and things will be taken care of. But here, you just wonder. If I say something, are they gonna take care of it?
Ah, really interesting. So we as Americans have this idea that we protect the rights of people, and if you're here, you don't have the two of you don't have the same rights as I do because you're not an American you're not American citizens. But we have this idea that you have rights, that we will still protect you. If you don't do anything wrong, you'll have rights and you're all good. But you don't. But right now you're saying I don't know that that's necessarily true from stories
Oh,
that you hear.
yeah. Yeah.
I think that's fair, by the way. I mean, I think it's fair. Dej, how about you on that?
Yeah, sorry, I'm meaning to get involved in this conversation, but pardon the pun. I think there's this wrong notion that the freedom of speech is only US. I mean, I don't know about other constitutions, but in India we have Article 17, which gives you the right for the freedom of speech and protest. And like the volunteers aptly pointed out, I'm an international student myself, and the first thing I asked you when talking about this position was, will I get cancelled?
Yeah.
Or is there any strain on my visa and such? But I think what she aptly pointed out is the risk to reward ratio. Protecting your right of freedom of speech doesn't mean enforcing it.
Yeah.
And when we're talking about stuff like that, and obviously we're not American citizens, so a certain argument can be made for the fact that we may not deserve all the rights.
Huh?
But with
you don't quote, deserve all the rights.
And I get that
right?
argument completely, but when it comes to something like this, I mean, I'm a completely different person here and a completely different person back home. If I was the same person over here, I'd be dead in a day.
Because, well, not dead, but would you get canceled?
Oh yeah.
Because back home you're really open about things?
Oh, yeah.
And so here you're not.
I'm a lot more blunt. I have to be a little bit more polished.
Oh, so you feel like back home your freedom of speech is really protected, whereas here it's not as protected as much as it is back home.
When I'm here, right, I have to be a certain way, do certain things, speak a certain way. I have to monitor everything that I speak. I can't, even if it's something that I really want to talk about, if I have to think, hit myself on the back 3 or 4 times to me. Is this okay? Is this safe enough for me to say a few times? But back home, oh, I can talk.
You don't
about
have to
anything.
worry about it. So the cameras are on. You're on YouTube. The government, when you speak in here, and you're my main assistant right here with the microphone all the time. So at every moment you're asking yourself, is this okay to say in the United States?
Yeah, trust me, a lot of people, when I told my parents that I got this, my mom was like, it's a great opportunity, but be safe and
Be safe.
don't remember what you're going there for, which is studying, not having fun.
I got you. Yeah,
Oh,
that's intense.
Yeah, because
And you're not telling the Americans, you're not saying to the American people, none of you are saying to Americans like, hey, we should have the right to say whatever we want.
I don't think we should, because, well, I'm not American.
Yeah.
I think
So that's fine. Like, that's not an issue at all.
No, I
Yeah.
think that's why it makes perfect sense, to be honest, because I'm not entitled to all the rights and all the amendments because I'm not an American.
Yeah, I got
Which is
you.
why I think I should be held to a higher level of conduct.
Yeah.
I think last semester there was a really good, or I think earlier this semester there was a good way of saying it. When you're visiting somebody's house or you're visiting your neighbor's house, you hold yourself to a higher level of etiquette than you do in your own house.
Okay. All right. Here, let me ask that. Can I ask you that question? When you're here, how often are you saying like, "Hey, I'm not a citizen of the U.S. I'm a citizen of China, and I need to really be thoughtful about. I'm a guest in the United States, and I need to be thoughtful about being a guest in the United States." How often does that in your?
I barely don't think about it.
Yeah, you're just living. Yeah.
And I don't talk about political things. My parents and my grandparents to comment anything about, and
Mhm.
not to say anything.
So right now, you're, and because I don't want to get you in trouble either, but
I won't be in trouble.
you won't be in trouble.
I won't.
But you're also being careful about what you say.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. Yeah, because there are people who watch the class who are like, who would come down on you really hard. Like, you know, you don't have the rights. Or, you know, they said it very clearly, and you all are saying it. But if you even implied that you should have a certain right, hammer you. And I don't know what the problem is. But it's interesting, though, how things have changed. So you're saying, though, your time here, it hasn't really changed much because you haven't been involved. You don't say anything anyway.
Oh.
Yeah. I think that's largely. Hey, why don't we do this? Why don't the two of you sit over here, okay? And I'm going to bring a couple more people up. Why don't you keep one of the microphones? And then we're going to bring our, yeah, here. Can I see the microphone? Can you two come up? Bro.
Sure. I just heard your house analogy, and I was thinking I'm sort of a weird situation because you were saying like you're in someone else's invited house, but in my case, I'm American on my dad's side, but I lived my first 18 years in Panama, so I get to see basically like a divorced parent. I get to be myself in the U.S. technically without repercussions, and I get to be myself in Panama without repercussions. I have to say that even on top of, let's say I have all the rights of a citizen of the U.S., I can still say that the repercussions for speaking here are way higher than the repercussions of speaking in my country in anything like things as small as social things. Like to give you an example to know what I mean, like my brothers all look differently. Like for me, because I was even a lot heavier back then, it is very normal in the street for someone, when they call my attention, they go like, "Hey, gordo," which means like yo, fat guy. Like, and for me, that's not an offensive thing because they're just describing me. Or my younger brother is a lot darker than me because of how he looks, and it's a normal thing that everyone calls him like, "Hey, negrito," which means like a dark kid.
Yeah.
But for him, that's a normal thing, and in Panama, that's a normal thing because they're just describing you. Or stores are called chinitos that are owned by any sort of Asian person, and they're not insulting this person, they're just like describing the business, which might seem weird and might seem offensive here, but I do feel like the language here in general, even as a person who has all the rights of a US citizen, is a lot harder
So
to monitor.
So you find yourself similarly monitoring yourself.
Yeah.
With the things that you say.
Even without the consequences of not being a citizen.
Yeah. Even though it doesn't matter, but you can still get canceled. You still have all these other issues. Huh. Yeah. That's cool. Thanks, man. Okay. Can you introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Cody. From Pittsburgh, PA, and I'm a second-year communications major.
I'm Jenna. I'm a sophomore, and I'm from Bucks County, Pennsylvania, and I'm studying cybersecurity.
So thanks for volunteering. When the two of you hear freedom of speech, where's your mind go? Where's like the first place it goes?
For me, it goes to be able to express yourself through like your values and your thoughts, and be able to share that with people.
Express yourself, and how, like, what things are you thinking about expressing?
I mean, mainly when you talk about freedom of speech, like your values and the things that you hold home, like to the core. I just think that that's important to be able to express.
For me, just immediately off the bat, I sort of think of more like extremist opinions, I guess you could say, because a lot of the times I've seen people use the excuse like, oh, I can say that because of the First Amendment.
The Holocaust never happened, right? You can say that here, but like, okay, so something like that. And you, Cody, for you, what Jenna just said about like really more extreme positions, are you like, do you measure like?
I mean, I wouldn't say I really like measure what it is, but when we talk about like people with controversial thoughts and more extremist thoughts, my mind goes to the fact that you know, like even though you're protected under freedom of speech, your consequences aren't protected.
Uh-huh.
So people that have, like, to give you a timely example, like the people that have been fired over the Charlie Kirk, you know, mocking his death or saying things about his death. And I mean, I've seen a couple of videos of the people who got fired, and their first response is usually, I didn't know, or I didn't mean to say it, or I thought I was protected under free speech. But in my mind, it's while yes, you are protected under free speech, you still have consequences for your actions.
Uh-huh.
And you know, sometimes you just need to think, okay, before I send a tweet, before I post something, you know, is this insensitive to some people? Can this be insensitive?
So how often, so Gaga here, kind of what she was implying was, yeah, but some of those consequences, like they're shifting all the time. Right? How often are you thinking about the shifting sort of consequences of being of free speech, you know?
I think like the biggest would be like the cancel culture,
Uh-huh.
where like that movement was kind of like, in my opinion, I think it's dying down a little bit.
Uh-huh.
I haven't seen it as much as like when COVID first happened,
Uh-huh.
but just the fact that people were speaking their mind, and some of them were getting like kind of just canceled for like dumb reasons,
Uh-huh.
just because they, you know, they made someone mad.
Because they were saying something that was kind of stupid. They didn't need to say anyway.
Yeah.
Jenna, did anything come
Yeah,
up
I
for you?
can respond. So I agree specifically with the mention of like cancel culture. And what I thought was kind of interesting to think about is most of the time, like the person being canceled, perhaps they would say something bad or something hateful, but more often than not, the people that were attacking that person were spreading more hate and continuing to further that violent speech, right? That hate speech that they are against.
Mhm. So for you, when you hear people, so your generation, right? Wait, how are you 19? 20? 19? 19? Okay, so you're two 19-year-olds, all right? When you hear people say, or you read or observe people, mostly you don't see it anywhere in real life because people aren't. Has anybody ever walked across campus and found someone saying really outlandish things anywhere on campus? It's like Gary the Willard preach, like.
Yeah,
like,
you know those people in the hub with like the big like stakes
oh yeah,
and stuff.
that, okay.
Oh.
Those folks. Yeah, yeah, they're pretty. Well, you know, they're trying to get your attention, right? But otherwise, how often do the two of you find yourself managing whether to say something that could go up against the free speech, the wall, right? And therefore you might get canceled. Like, how often do you find yourself doing that?
I mean, I think it's more because I'm not someone who like posts a lot on social media,
Uh-huh.
but I think it's more of like just people on like Twitter or X that kind of like post things. But I think that in their mind, it's, you know, like no one's gonna see this tweet, you know, like, but like most of the time they just like the tweets just blow up. Like so many people see it and so many people have opinions on it, and it just keeps growing and keep growing and keep going. But for me, it's always just been like, just, you know, like think before you act. Like sometimes if you're mad or something and you have that like rush of adrenaline where you just want to say whatever, sometimes I just pull myself back and just, you know, it's not worth it.
So when did the two of you, Jenna, I want to start with you. When and where did you learn, hey, there really are consequences for some of this stuff on social media when you pull your phone out and you're on Facebook or wherever you're at, Instagram, be careful before you. When did you first?
I would say for a long time. I was on the internet like at a pretty young age, so I was seeing what was being posted and distributed, I guess, across the internet back then, which was way worse then, I believe, than it is now. And I feel like even then, I didn't agree all the time with what was being posted. And I knew that that was wrong and not something that I would interact with. So I feel like I've always been pretty like mundane and not voice my opinions, I guess, too loudly. But I guess that does also, I do that because I know the consequences.
Okay, so sometime what I'm hearing, sort of an indirect thing, what I'm hearing from you is, you know, well, I want to hear what the two of you think about. Sometimes canceling people for saying really stupid things, not really a bad thing. Like, stop saying stupid stuff. Would you both agree with that? But what constitutes stupid stuff, right? Because it's going to be different for Jackie and Gaga here, for you and me, for the two of you, for me. Everyone's going to define stupid stuff differently. So you agree that, like, yeah, well, it's whatever. Don't say that stuff. But sometimes it's like, here's the line, right? Sometimes, you don't even know you've walked over the line, because it's like international students saying colored people instead of people of color. And then people, they get yelled at. I've had a number of conversations with students of color who get yelled at by African American students going like, colored people is a racist term. And they're like, what the fuck? I don't know. You know, it's like, I speak Arabic. English is my third language or my fourth language. Like, give me a break. And then you're coming at me like it's a racist term. And so, you know, it's like, oh God. So, you know, you can get canceled by saying something racist. So how do you manage that? Like, how do you make sense? This is your whole lives. You got to make sense. If some people get canceled, others don't. I don't.
I mean, you can't really manage it like on a mass level. Like, it's my opinion.
No, just for yourself.
Yeah, but like everybody's so different.
Yeah.
Like, everybody has different views. Everybody has different things that make them mad or makes them happy. So you can't really, like, it just has to be like a case by case basis.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I'm just, you know, scrolling through Twitter and I just see a tweet and someone, like, I don't know, says something like not like the worst thing ever, you know, you just kind of read it and you just, you know, you kind of see like the different people respond to it. And then you're just like, for me, I just carry on with my day.
Just move on.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's your recommendation.
Personally, I would say it's important to just follow your own path, your own values, and how you feel. And that's what the First Amendment is for as well.
Mm-hmm.
And if you feel something is wrong, then you have a right to say something about it. And I think that also we can all learn from other people's opinions, whether they're the same or different. You can take that opposite opinion to manipulate, or not manipulate, but, you know, shape your own. So
listen, so by and large, the two of you are just randomly chosen to be up here, okay? So, you know, people might have the idea that, I specifically we chose you all because you think about this a lot, and you're random. You just happened to say it the other day, so here you are, but otherwise. How different are you in the things that you're saying? How different are you from the your friends and others, do you think?
I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm different, like, compared to like everybody else in here, because I'm sure there are people.
Hang on, we all think we're different.
Well, yeah, but I'm sure there's people in here that probably think similar to me, where they just kind of move on with their day. And then you have maybe some people that will take the extra second and kind of like, that doesn't sound right to me, let me respond. And then you may have some people that would inform the other people.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, for me personally, I would say my group of friends, like, some people agree with me, some don't, but that doesn't really matter at the end of the day, because we all still get along and are able to, you know, be friends, even if we have different opinions, you know, like politically or socially or whatever.
But it is really tough for for this generation, y'all, to have to manage this stuff. Like, I don't know how you know, this everything you put on the internet is there forever. Like, you know, like, it's there. It's like, oh my God. Mostly it gets lost. The vast majority of things, like the videos in this class, you know, they're there for a week and then they're gone. And we know. We look at them and we see, like, when's the last time this video was seen, or that one? And it's just like, after a few weeks, it's just gone forever. and it doesn't. But, it's there. You were going to say something.
Okay, so
Wait, what's your name?
my name is Zaya. I'm a criminology major. I'm a freshman. I think the First Amendment has a double standard for sure, and especially when it comes to like racism. Like with the Charlie Kirk thing, like people are getting, arrested or they're getting fired from their jobs, but like, if a white person says an N-word, people are just like, oh, that's bad, we're gonna cancel you, but then you can bounce back, you can come back. And there was a case of this white woman. She called this like 9-year-old boy the N-word. She gets fired from her job, and then a bunch of people raise like $100,000 for her. Like, I feel like, okay, people are like, oh, anybody can say the N-word, and me as a black person, and I know that's like, in like the black community, like everybody thinks differently, but like me, personally, people shouldn't just be saying the N-word like that, especially if you're not black. They're like, okay, we're oppressed too, we can say what we want. Like, it's not violated under the First Amendment, but these certain words hurt communities. And even if like you're not saying the N-word in a racist way, I personally take like, if you're saying the N-word in a more casual way, I take it more offensively than if you're like saying it in a more derogatory way towards me. Like if you're using it racistly, I'm gonna laugh at you because you sound stupid and dumb. But if you're just like, oh, what's up, oh, okay, no, you can't do that.
So for you, some of the free speech, the containment on free speech, really, because that's what we're talking about here. Because it's pretty widely known, like, hey, there's certain words, certain things you don't say, right? People say them anyway because for whatever reason, but most people don't. Most people don't. It's just like on airplanes, people that have air rage. There's a lot less air rage than it would seem if you're watching videos on social media. But for you, there's like a kind of a containment. Actually, yeah, well, it really does bother a lot of people when people are randomly throwing around the N-bomb. So it's like, don't say it. So it's not inherently a problem. So even though the law is going to protect you for that, it's like it still is. It's like, don't do it. It's
bad.
And so you would say, so Cody, you started talking about values, and kind of one value, probably I would guess that you have, is that you don't want to impinge on somebody else's sense of self and comfort in who they are. So like you wouldn't.
Absolutely not. I think that.
So you're not going to push something. I can say the N-word because I can, and I should be able to. You're not going to do that because it's like it doesn't go with your values.
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I got that. By the way, the vast majority, as someone who's in this and been watching it for 40 years, the vast majority of white people who drop the N-bomb in some like really kind of serious way, like they're in some kind of altercation or whatever, it really wreaks havoc on their lives, man. That one particular woman, she became a cause célèbre in the whatever, some kind of deeply conservative, some community, I don't know what, and they did a GoFundMe for her and raised a bunch of money. But yeah, the vast majority, it's like, nah, you don't want to do that.
And my concern that it's going to just become normalized. Like, so I'm from Houston, and Houston, if you guys don't know, it's very diverse. And in my class, I was in welding in high school, and I was like the only black person in there. And I went to a really, like, there was a bunch of black people at my school, but I was the only black person and one of 3, women in that class. And everybody was throwing around the N-word, like, and when people ask like younger generations, oh, what's slang? What's slang? They're like, the N-word's so funny. It's so funny. It's so funny. And I don't know, it's like them hearing other people and they're just like trying to like emulate them. They're like, oh yeah, that is funny. That is funny. But it's not.
Yeah.
And they think it's okay. Well, it's not that bad. It doesn't bother them anymore. Oh, I'm going to give you the N-word pass. Or, it's free speech. We can say whatever we want. Or, and we see these things, it gets so normalized. And I'm afraid that the meaning of the word is going to get like taken away.
Yeah, I got you. No, thanks for that. I appreciate that. I think probably not. I think we're seeing we're seeing a certain movement in some directions, but I actually think that it won't be normalized, and I think we're just seeing a certain. But I don't know why young people do that, man. You're young. You're better able to explain why your classmates would think that that was okay than I ever would. You know, so I think young people are going to push. Do you have any questions for them, for these two Americans about like they can say so many things. Like, do you have any questions for them? Do you have any questions for them?
Yeah, for Jackie. So you're from China, right? So is it more, do you see like the culture of people posting, like, I don't know if you guys have like X or Twitter over there. Is it like sort of like if there's something similar to that where people just kind of post like whatever?
So like Weibo.
Are you asking whether people are posting different stuff in China and in America?
Yeah. Yeah, how much are people posting stuff that goes off the rails in China?
Many Chinese people are browsing Twitter and Reddit. They are using a VPN to stuff outside of.
So you have to get a VPN, and then you can see a lot of stuff. But in Chinese social media, like Weibo, you're not posting
No,
crazy stuff.
people just post on news like Charlie Cook got shot or something, but there's no comment. We just say Charlie Cook got shot.
Uh-huh.
Just see that. We don't see other comment. Guy, he's a bad guy. We don't.
Hold the mic really close. So in China, you all aren't. People are aware all the time that somebody's scrolling through their social media. Whatever they do on their phones, somebody's watching. People are aware of that?
Many of my high school classmates are aware of that, but some people don't know that. And some people know that and they think the government is good. It's good to be watched, to be
Yeah.
monitored. Some people think like that.
Yeah, so it's good to be watched, and so therefore, it really it keeps people from saying a lot of really outlandish things.
And some people think it's not a good thing to be watched, but it's not a bad thing, and it's acceptable.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
but-
not a good thing, but it's
And
acceptable.
that's how my father thinks of the monitoring.
Yeah. So you get
every time my father talks with me about political stuff, he always say, "Put your phone away out of this room."
yeah. Well, so so you get that, right? So people, I mean, you got these major data centers where people are scrolling through everything that's coming across the web in China, right? I mean, major centers. Okay, so people are watching, and so I have a question for the two of you. If we were living if the government was really watching us in the way that they're watching in other places, right? Some other places, right? Because, Days is saying, like, yeah, in India, we have a lot of places have freedom of speech all over the world. I mean, it's fine in practical terms. How much would your lives change if you really were being carefully observed, and, you can't say, there are all these things you really can't say and you shouldn't say, and how much would your lives change?
I mean, probably a lot.
How so?
In terms of like, so would there be like a strict like rules that you have to follow, or is it just sort of like the same where
you just can't say things about the government. You can't post a photo of Donald Trump in a clown costume. You can't. There's just things you can't do. But mostly you can do whatever you want to do on social media, but you just can't criticize certain things and certain.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that like the media that we consume would probably change more. Like maybe mainly the first one that comes to mind is like comedy shows where they kind of like criticize the government here or there. And I think that if we were observed more,
Mm-hmm.
then the media would change a little bit.
Does that frighten you that could happen here?
Yeah. Yes.
Does it frighten you?
Yeah, and to add on to that, I would say I feel like mostly it's expressing my opinion within my friends, but that's also through like direct messaging, which in maybe this scenario is being also monitored.
Mhm.
So to not have that ability to share my opinion with my friends and have their opinion be shared with me, I feel like I would be less intelligent or less able to have my own individual opinion because I wouldn't have anyone able to say, hey, this is wrong, or hey, this is right.
So for you guys, the phone is really important for you as a place to express yourselves and put different ideas out there. Uh-huh. Yeah. Dej. Someone have a question?
Hi, I'm Natalie, and I just want to talk about like the idea of is almost like defending, like how far would you go to defend what you say? And like growing up with social media, it was always like whatever you post, you have to be able to defend. And like both my parents were being like not monitored, but like they could have had repercussions from what I said on social media. So it's just like the idea of like how far are you going to go to defend what you're saying? And
Wait,
I feel like
so because your parents, this is true for a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
That your parents, if you step out of line, it could come back to your parents, okay?
Mhm.
So that meant from a very young age, you were being taught by them, like, hey, listen,
Yeah.
man, here are the guardrails as you go through life. And how was that for you to grow up with with guardrails?
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like it was kind of a good thing. Like I was able to learn really the effects of like what you say for others.
Uh-huh.
I mean, like I was able to see it from not just my own perspective, but from their perspective, and like how words can hurt people in ways that you might not even like, especially when you're like 13 years old, like you're not thinking about the way your words could impact other people.
Mm-hmm. Like your classmates dropping the N word with, yeah. And so, wait, hang on one second. What did the two of you think of that? Wait, keep the microphone for a
Okay.
second. What do you think? Like she's saying basically, hey, for me it was really a good thing to have these guardrails, and my parents telling me you can't step outside of these because it will have repercussions.
Yeah, I think that's very important that, you know, when you're younger, you learn about like how you said the word code or whatever.
Yeah, speech codes.
Yeah, speech code. So like having your parents kind of guide you through, but then once you get to like college and like towards the end of high school, it should be like, not it should be, but you should be able to protect your values, but also be open to like other things. Like you don't want to be like too like closed
Yeah.
off, because then you won't learn.
But so for you,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just thinking about kindness.
Yeah. Hmm.
Like a buddy of mine sent me a couple comments from a video that we posted, a couple comments about me, and and it's just, I'm like, come on, man, it's so mean. Like, what the? You don't have to be that mean. It's so mean, right?
Yeah.
And it was like on Instagram. Instagram comments are the worst, by the way. I don't read them. If someone doesn't send me comments, I'm not going to read them. But it was just mean, and I thought there's no need for that. And we know in the world that mean comments, angry comments are what gets other people to respond. And so these social media platforms are geared toward promoting any kind of negative or angry comment, because that will get you all to keep clicking. And the more you click, the more money they make. So it's like you've grown up in this world where meanness is rewarded. It's like I didn't grow up in that world. I grew up in a world where being kind to other people is rewarded. And so it sounds to me, though, you got a lesson pretty young with your parents who are saying, like, hey, listen, let me walk you through all this. And that's a good thing. Yeah.
It's also like, I just want to point out like group chats. Like that's the one among friends, like growing up. Like sometimes someone will say something in a group chat and I'll just be like, like those people don't have the same level of like understanding of like, I don't know, just because it's your friends doesn't mean you really just be saying mean. Like there's no point for it.
Yeah. So for you, it's a similar thing, right? Put the guardrails on. It seems like it makes life better if we could just do. It makes life better for a lot of folks. Yeah. 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 Hey, what's your name, by the way?
Natalie.
Natalie. All right. Thanks, Nat.
Hi, my name's Abena. I'm a senior biology neuroscience major, and I just had like a comment to make about like kind of overall what we're talking about. And I think it's important to note that there is two aspects to free speech. There is the government authorized free speech, and then there is this like society code, as you were talking about, societal code as to what free speech can be accepted by that society.
Yeah.
And I think that in order for a society to function in a more fluid and capable way, it's important that the society mandated code is stricter than the government mandated code, because the second that the government mandated code starts to overlap with the intensity of the society mandated code, we start to see an infringement of people's rights and their capabilities of promoting change in the world. You know, if the second that you as a government start trying to infringe on a higher level the standards of the society mandated code, that's whenever we start to lose free speech. And I think that's why so many people are scared to talk, because because of that fear that the government mandated code is becoming too similar to the society mandate code.
Yeah. Oh, that's really interesting. Huh. I'm not even gonna comment on that. I think that is such an interesting insight. I'm just gonna let it go and let anybody else comment on it. But thanks for that. Yeah, that's really, yeah. Because there is this society mandated code. Like, it's really up to all of us, right? In a way, if we all can police one another, if we're all sort of, not policing, but if we're all just kind of moving with one another to say, look, don't say those things. They're mean, man. I wish we would just kind of get back to that. Like, hey, Izzy, do you have a couple questions? I'm hearing that we have a ton of questions from the stream. So, what is, when you guys say freedom of speech, like, what do you mean? What do you mean?
I guess I would just say you're allowed to have the opinions you want. You're allowed to spread that opinion and that ideology that you feel is right. And if people disagree with you, then they also have a right to disagree with you and say what they think is right in their ideologies as well. Just in general, I mean, basically from the First Amendment, it's just freedom of speech, religion, freedom of the press, and
including misinformation. You can spread
and the freedom of misinformation. That's right.
Which is a bit of a problem here, I will say, as someone who, I do think that, yeah, misinformation can be very problematic. Is what she said? Would you go with what she said?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
And sorry, on that misinformation thing, I think it also ties into what you were saying about our code as like a society. Like, we agree that it's wrong to say slurs, so we don't. And that the government doesn't say that, the First Amendment doesn't say that, but it's written in our modern code. So
Yeah.
I feel like that also applies to misinformation. And that's why I like what I guess Twitter and I think TikTok is doing. They're saying like, hey, like, this may be misinformation or this may be marked as incorrect. So as long as institutions are making people aware of it, then.
So for you, from your perspective, maybe that's like the best we can do.
Yeah.
Even though somebody has to decide what's misinformation, but it's like, well, I don't know, then you decide whether you want to accept that somebody else thinks that's misinformation. Yeah, okay. Do you have another one? Izzy? Jackie says, why don't most people talk about how free speech isn't absolute? Do you have It's not absolute. It's like it's not ever. You can't just say anything you want to say. And also, speech constitutes actions. Speech leads to actions. Speech is an action, and so it's like, hey, you gotta be careful about certain things. Jackie, the question is, I think because we don't talk about speech enough. That's why we don't talk about that. Do you have another one? Are the risks of restricting free speech greater than the freedom itself? Can I ask you that question? So there are risks for restricting free speech, okay? Like you restrict. It's like, hey, you can't say this, you can't say that. Like, you know.
Like from my my experience and my
Yeah, what do you think? What are the risks of restricting free speech?
like I don't know, like you
This is
can't,
by the
like,
way,
just-
this is a really hard question. And I'm not going to let you say anything that's going to get you in trouble.
I'm trying to think of an answer.
You're trying to interpret it. Yeah, all right. Hang on, I'm not even
I
going to
feel
ask
like
you.
no, I feel like restricting it is just gonna like you can't just like you just like can't not say anything. Like whenever you like see something that is really bad, and you cannot not say anything. Like you just like deep down in your heart, you know, like you have to say something. But like sometimes, like for my situation, I can't.
Yeah, you just don't. Yeah.
I just like.
Hey, no, I have the same thing in here. I mean, I'm quite aware right now that there's a line. I don't know if you do you guys feel like I'm walking on this line here very carefully in this classroom as I'm watching things, you know, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to go over here. I don't want to go too far over here. Do you feel like I do that or not?
Sometimes, maybe. I mean,
No, maybe you won't feel it. I don't know. I'm just curious. Do you ever get the sense that I'm doing that?
yeah, I would say sometimes. Could I just quickly give an answer to this question as well and add on to it?
Yeah.
So I would say yes, in a way, because with freedom of speech, we got our transformational leaders of, you know, the world. We have the Gandhis, the Malalas, all the great leaders, the Martin Luther King Jr., like everyone has gone, and most of the time they're using their freedom of speech, and most of the time it's against the government, and they're using that to fight for their cause, fight for what they think is right. So if we restrict that, we wouldn't have had those leaders. We wouldn't have those people that shaped our society today.
Okay. Yeah. Forgot Donald Trump, by the way. Okay, is there one more? And then we'll go. Julie says, what's the difference when the speech is happening on social media or in person?
I mean, I feel like kind of leave like a digital footprint on social media.
Yeah.
It's there. You know, whereas you say it in person, sometimes it might, you know, shoot over people's head or they might forget about it. But when you say it,
if it's not recorded.
Yeah, if it's not recorded, and also if you're in person, then you can guide people to the way that you interpret it.
Yeah,
whereas social media, they have to interpret it their own way.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's what happens all the time. People just interpret some way that they want. Hey, listen. All right. Can we have a round of applause for you guys? Thanks, man. It's cool. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the questions. I want to say, before we do the attendance, I want to just say something really fast. Nice job, all of you, by the way. Good job. Yeah, nice job. Okay. Look, this is like, are we still streaming? We are, right? It's fine. Yeah, this is whiteout weekend, meaning it's a big, huge party weekend. Probably the biggest party weekend of the year. I let me just say something to you all. I'm going to be the parent in the room. Just be thoughtful, be smart, be safe, and just you don't have to overindulge. Okay, you can have fun without overindulging. So just you don't have to take it too far, okay? And be nice to one another. Damn. Alcohol can bring out, you all drink a lot. Not everybody. I shouldn't say you all, because a lot of you don't drink. Wait, how many in the class don't drink? Raise your hands. That's a lot of people. All right.
How many of you guys are being truthful?
Yeah, all right. Cool, man. All right, listen. Yeah, be safe, all right? Wait, what did you ask?
I said, how many of them are actually being truthful?
Oh, yeah, all right. I got you.
Please
All right,
also
man.
remember that with your freedom of speech comes the responsibility to be kind with your words. So
Yeah.
please be nice to each other.
Yeah, God.